Welcome to this course on Peanut Lab installation. In this particular module, we're going to take a look at the DNS resolution. DNS stands for your domain name system. Think about when you want to make a phone call. Usually, you would dial in the number and then you click on the dial button and the call connects. But then, what if you need to call about 20 persons and you need to remember those numbers? The human brain can remember from, say, maybe about 10 different numbers. But when it gets to about 50 numbers, you're looking at about 100 numbers, then you need an address book to store all those numbers. So if you need to call Peter, you go to your address book, you dial Peter, and then your phone translates that name Peter to a phone number in the background. Now, the same thing happens with websites as well. If you need to visit facebook.com, your computer does not understand by default alphabets per se, like domain names and the rest. What it recognizes is just zeros and ones. That's it recognizes numbers. So Facebook's IP address might be, as an example, say maybe 10.5.7.20. Okay, so let's assume Facebook's IP address is 10.5.7.20. For Instagram, it's about, say, maybe 50.70.90.10. When you want to visit all these websites, yeah, what you're supposed to put actually is the IP address because that's the only thing that the browser recognizes. But then we have over 3 million websites. How do you store all that information in your brain? It's going to be difficult, which is where DNS comes in. It's easier to memorize facebook.com than memorizing 10.5.7.20, than memorizing numbers. So when you memorize the URL facebook.com, you go to your web browser, you're typing facebook.com, your computer is going to check its address book in quotes. It is going to check a DNS server to see the IP address that relates to that domain name that you typed, facebook.com. So this is where DNS servers come in. Your DNS servers are like address books. It's just like when you're trying to make a phone call, you go to your contacts, you type in the name, and you see the phone number. Your DNS server does the same thing. Any website you want to visit, all you need to do is type in that domain name on your web browser, and then the computer checks a DNS server to see the actual IP address. So, in summary, a domain name system turns domain names into IP addresses, which allows browsers and terminals to get to websites and other internet sources. So, for our Peanut Lab installation, we also need to ensure that DNS was properly configured so that we don't run into errors. So what we need to do in this case is we're going to choose the name server to use. There are lots of name servers out there. There is 8.8.8.8, which is Google's DNS. There is 9.9.9.9. There's 4.2.2.2. There's 1.1.1.1. There are lots of DNS servers out there. But one of the most and free is Google's DNS, which is 8.8.8.8. So I'm going to be using Google's DNS. And the best way to do that is to use the command echo name server 8.8.8 into the etc slash resolve.conf file. So this command is actually very easy. Echo outputs the arguments. Name server, this is Google's DNS server. This greater than symbol is going to redirect the standard output to a file, and then this is the name of the file. So in the next module, which is our lab session, we're going to see how to input this on Ubuntu. So with this, we've come to the end of this particular module. I'll meet you in the next one. Thank you.